Alright, so this is lesson 67. We are doing the same thing as yesterday. We're talking about this thing called factoring. Remember last week I taught you what factoring means. It's the opposite of multiplying. It's not really dividing, but it's breaking things apart. Factoring means to break it apart. What does factoring mean? Breaking it apart. Okay, good. And we talked about the GCF last week. Learned how to identify and how to factor out a GCF. And then yesterday you learned how to factor out a trinomial. Okay? So today we're going to do the exact same thing, all right? And just as a quick reminder from before, let's say you're doing a problem like this. Remember when we did a multiply problem and you did like a box and you multiplied and you worked it out using the area and then you got this answer here, right? Y'all remember doing this? Okay. Again, factoring is going backwards, so we're thinking like, how do I get from here to here, right? Remember that? So, and Miss Good yesterday taught you about how to use this thing called the X box. It's a math tool. We use math tools to help us like organize stuff, right? So one of the things that you do need to know before we move on, and just a quick reminder, is remember how we did X box and we boxed the fraction? Well, one of the important things today is we need to make sure we simplify our fractions. So just a little quick review. How do we simplify 2/8? What does this become? 1/4. Y'all agree? Yeah. Okay, good. This is easy stuff. You should all be good at this already. That's 1/4. Just to keep this in the back of your head, okay? Steps are the same as yesterday, so I'm not going to spend time on this slide. Here we go. Numbers 1 and 2. Eyes up here, pencils down. Okay. All right, so number 1, pencils down. Okay, so same thing as yesterday. I want to figure out if I could take out a GCF first. I'm looking at A, B, and C. Is there a common factor I could take out of both of them? There isn't. So A is 4, B is -16, C is 15, and so I'm going to make an X box now because it's a trinomial. I could do this only on a trinomial. So I'm making an X box just like yesterday. I'm putting A there, which is 4, and there. Then I do A times C. 4 times 15 is +60. And then my B is -16, so I'm going to put this right underneath here. Okay? Then I'm going to find out what are my factors that multiply to be +60 but add up to -16. So I have to think. Positive times a positive is a positive, right? But it won't add up to be a negative. Positive times a negative is a negative. That doesn't work. So it has to be a negative times a negative. So I'm going to make a list, factors of 60, and I'm thinking to myself, -1 times -60 is -61. That doesn't work. -2 times -30, that doesn't work. -3 times -20, that's -23. That doesn't work. -4 times -15. That doesn't work. -6 times -10. Hey, that works. What's -6 plus -10? -16, right? So this is going to be my set of factors here. I'm going to use this. So I'm going to put -6 and -10 in here. It doesn't matter what order you do it in. So I'm putting them in here. And now I have to look at my fractions. Look, today, can I simplify 4 over -6? Yeah. This becomes 2 over -3. Okay, it's a little hard to see, but that's 2 over -3. Over here, this also I could simplify 4 over -10. So we got 2 over -5 here. Boxing each of my fractions once they're simplified. Then I use these like before. Looking at my letter, am I using X on this example? No, it's A. So I'm going to use 2A minus 3 all times 2A minus 5. And that's your answer. Okay? That's how you do number 1. Okay? So watch again. How did I do number 1? Looking at my steps. First thing I want to do, if possible, identify and factor out the GCF from all 3 terms. Is there a GCF on number 1? Ask yourself, no. Step 2, identify the coefficients A, B, and C. A is 4, B is -16, C is 15. 3, create the factor X box and input A, B, and C. So I'm making my X box here, putting A, B, and C. And then A times C at the very top. And then I'm finding, step 4, find the positive and negative factors of A times C that add up to B. So we got, I'm making a list and working out, and I figure out that -6 times -10 is equal to +60, but also adds up to -16. I'm going to input each of these right here respectively. And then step 5, we put the factors underneath each A. We did that. Step 6, simplify the fractions. They're not really fractions, but they look like them, right? So this becomes 2 over -3, and this becomes 2 over -5. Okay, and these are our factors. And step 7, use fractions to write new factored expression. Okay, that's how we do number 1. Okay, same thing as yesterday. Let me do it one more time. number 2. I'm going to go a little more quickly now. Number 2. Just watch up your pencils down. Tatiana, pencils down. Thank you. So we got 7x squared plus 24x plus 9. Step 1, I'm seeing if there's a GCF. No GCF. Step 2, A, B, and C. 7 is A, B is 24, C is 9. Step 3, I'm going to create my X box. I'm putting A, B, and C, and then A times C is 63. B is 24. So I'm only dealing with positive, so I want to figure out what adds up to be positive, or multiplies to be 63, but adds up to be 24. I'm getting pretty good at this, so I could do this one in my head. 21 times 3 is 63, which is also adds up to be 24, so I'm putting my factors in. I could simplify 7 over 21. This becomes 1/3. 7 over 3 I can't simplify. This letter I'm using, the variable, is it A this time? No, it's x, right? So I want to use x plus 3, and then 7x plus 3. And that's it. Okay? So we're doing the same thing as yesterday. Same steps, it's just a little bit more difficult in the numbers, and then we're using today we're adding that, simplifying the fractions, okay? Questions on 1 or 2 before you start talking to your neighbor? Raise your hand if you have a question. Okay, cool. So let's have, today's Tuesday, let's have 2's tell the 1's about number 1, and then 1. Here we go, number 3. Okay, number 3, please write that down in your notes. Number 3. This one is in your notes, not on your iPads. We're not using iPads until the very end. Okay? Because there's a lot of work, okay? I am expecting you to do all the work that I have on the screen, okay? Not until you get good at this do you not have to do the work. So right now we're all learning, so you're all doing the work with me. All right, so 4x squared minus 23x plus 15. Let's look at step 1. Let's figure out, is there a GCF we could take out here before we start doing any Xboxing? Yes or no? No. Is there an GCF? Yeah. No, there is no GCF, okay? Next, what are A, B, and C? Turn to your neighbor, tell them what A, B, and C are. Okay, good. So let's start working at Xbox. We're doing this one all together, so you're working along with me. Everyone's working along with me, making sure you're doing all the steps with me. So drawing out our Xbox, our A is 4. What's A times C, everyone?
60.
Positive or negative 60?
Positive.
Good, okay. And then B is negative 23. Good. Okay, so now we have to find the factors. We're going to go to step 4, find the positive and negative factors of A times C that add up to B. Okay, so let's just predict first before we want a positive answer, but we want it to add up to a negative. So should I have a positive times a positive times a negative, or negative times a negative? What do y'all think? Turn to your neighbor just to discuss. Positive times a positive times a negative, or negative times a negative? Okay, what do y'all think? Don't we want a negative times a negative, right? What's negative times negative? Positive, right? And it's going to add up to a negative. Does that make sense? Okay, so you're doing this with me. We're doing this one all together, all the way through, so don't worry, you're not doing this one by yourself. So we're doing our factors of positive 60. So let's start with negative 1. What's negative 1 times what is positive 60? Good. Does that add up to negative 23? No, keep going. What about negative 2? Negative 2 times what is negative 60? Does that add up to negative 23? No. What about negative 3 times what is negative 20? Good. Does that add up to negative 23? Good. So these are my factors, okay? So I'm going to put these in beneath each of my A's, okay? We're all doing this together right now. Got a question for you. Can we simplify 4 over negative 3? No. So let's box it, okay? It's done, right? Those are our coefficients. We know that for sure. What about this next part? 4 over negative 20. What does that turn into?
1 over negative 5.
Good. 1 over negative 5, right? So let's keep that negative in the denominator. Excellent. And box it. Okay. What's the letter we're working with, everyone? X. Good. So we got 4x minus 3 times x minus 5, okay? So I'm going to come around, just make sure you're participating in your notes. I'll give you 10 seconds, and I'm going to start walking around. Number 4, let's keep going here. Oh, and by the way, Ivan, your answer, look up here. Shh. Ivan's question was asking, what happens if you switch places? This is what happens. You look up here. Is this a different answer? No. What matters is what's on the inside of the parentheses. Okay? Okay? Good. Great question. I love that. All right, next one. Number 4. Let's write down number 4 in your notes. In your notes. In your notes. Okay. Is there a GCF? Turn to your neighbor. Tell him, is there a GCF? Yes or no? Is there a GCF, everyone? No, there is not. So we're going to just continue on. Let's make an X box. A, B, and C, we know what they are. So let's put A is 5. B is negative 38. What's A times C, everyone? 105. Good. Okay, so got a question for you. We need to find two factors. Eyes up here. We want two factors that multiply to be positive 105, but add up to negative. So will I have a positive times a positive? Will I have a positive times a negative, or will I have negative times a negative? Good, okay, so we're doing this together. I'll start us off on our list. We're all making a list. No cutting the list out. Start with 105. And I'm thinking of two numbers that have to add up to negative 38. So I want my negative number to be bigger. So negative 1. I'm sorry, not my negative number. They're both negative. So negative 1 times negative 105. Does this work? No. What about negative 3 times what? Okay, finish up my problem. Negative 35. Does this one work?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's use these as my two factors. I'd like you to finish the problem. Take 30 seconds to finish the problem, and then you're going to open your iPads in 30 seconds. Not yet, okay? Okay, there's your answer to 6. That concludes the lesson.